How do I want to do my review intro? It's been a long time since I've done this, and I'm not 100% confident in how I want to do this. I don't want to come across insincere, so how about we just start the video? Alright, so today we're going to be talking about One Piece Chapter 998. I would be remiss if I didn't start reviewing again in general, because we are headed towards Chapter 1000, coming on, I think it's like January 4th or something like that. It's been a long time. I missed basically all of the Odin flashback, Kandro's defection, or I guess is the reveal that he's the traitor, the beginning of the Battle of Onigashima, and just a whole bunch of stuff. And I freaked out about it all. I'm sure if you follow me, I've talked about it every week on Twitter. But in general, it's the kind of thing where I kind of regret not talking about it to the camera. But anyways, this is chapter 998, the Ancient Types, and it's named that for a very, very particularly good reason. But before I get into the chapter, I just want to talk about the cover page, not for anything in particular. I just kind of thought it was a cute cover page. I never talk about the cover pages, but I just kind of I like Eneru. I like this giant cat thing. I think there's a little mouse in like a suit. It's so funny. I just love it. I think it's one of the requests, and I'm really glad that we're out of the Oh My Family stuff, because that was going on for way too long. So on the whole, the chapter is basically split into like two parts. There's the beginning part where they're focusing on kind of more broad spectrum Chopper and what him and everybody in the courtyard are doing. Everybody's freaking out about the island floating. By the way, so freaking Kaido lifted Onigashima last chapter. Do you even understand what that even entails? Like, even if his power was just like, okay, he's lifting a giant thing, just a giant mass of whatever, fine. But he literally ripped an island from the ground and now is floating it up in the air. That is like, I'm like, islands don't just float on the ocean. They're not just floating there where you could just be like, okay, there's nothing underneath for them to whatever. They are literally just like attached to the ground. That takes an excessive amount of energy. So I just wanted to really just hammer that in. It's nuts. But beyond everybody freaking out about that, we have Chopper running around. He's finally got his hands on the antibodies for the Ice Oni virus, but now he's freaking out. Freaking Marco's setting people on fire. He's got a good reason, but Chopper and everybody didn't quite know right away. But clearly he's a phoenix. He's got healing properties. He can control. I think I don't know whether he can actually burn anybody with this fire, but he can kind of control the temperature to some degree. So he's able to hit Chopper with a flame, and then it'll be just the right temperature to slow, if not stop, the Ice Oni's encroachment over him. Now, I am gonna be honest, I don't remember characters when they're very small and whatever. I don't remember every single character. I am not a Tekking 101 or Rogers Base. I don't remember these characters right off the top of my head. So I'm really kind of glad that Oda threw in some text boxes to tell us who certain characters were this chapter, especially the Dr. Mink and the Nurse Mink. I remember them, and I love them. I think they're super cute, but I am glad that he threw in a little text there just to kind of like remind us, hey, these are doctors, and that is like, that's nuts. So we knew that Chopper was there. We knew that Marco was there. They're both doctors. We know Law is somewhere on Onigashima, although he was in the basement. There was a pretty decent chunk of land underneath the top of the island, so I imagine that he's probably still on the island somewhere. So he's a doctor, and now you've got the mink doctor, Miyagi, and his nurse, and they're all there, and they're all just like, as far as like Queen's plan to infect everybody, that seems like it's like a moot thing. It doesn't seem like it's gonna work anymore because there are so many doctors on this island. In any event, Marco's setting people on fire just to kind of slow the Oni process. And honestly, so this next part, I honestly thought it was Queen for a second because they both have that like weird ponytail with like the little knots, and I had to do a double take, especially after what happens. Apu gets back up. We go from seeing Queen getting super pissed off about the Ice Oni starting to become nullified in some way. And then suddenly we see this shadowy figure, and I should have I didn't even read the bottom text on the panel when the shadowy figure shows up. I just read, oh, he's like angry. He wants he's not going anywhere. Chopper being specifically he's talking to. But it's Apu. And then we get some great action. Basically after this is like nonstop Tobi Roppo form reveals. So technically some of them have already been revealed, but it's like a nonstop showcase of all the Tobi Roppo, former or current. So as Apu is going after Chopper to get the antibodies back, we see this great panel. It's a very small panel actually, but it's awesome. It is Drake going into his Zoan form, his Allosaurus form, and it's just all we see is this row of teeth and like a little bit of his face. And then suddenly he comes and this big chop right down on Apu. It is awesome. And he just throws him. Drake has honestly been one of those characters, especially of the like 11 Supernova, where it's just like, he's fine. He's kind of middle of the road for me. But honestly, he's growing on me a lot. Not just because he's a giant dinosaur, but also because he's part of the Sword. He's doing some real work on Onigashima, and he's finally earned the maybe not respect, but like the trust of the Straw Hats, especially Zoro. So that's more or less the last we see of the courtyard group. Marco promising to fly Zoro up to the roof. Drake coming in and basically like eating Apu. So after that, we more or less move on to just nonstop Tobi Roppo. It's basically like, with few exceptions here and there, it's basically like every 2 pages are double page spreads of the Tobi Roppos in their forms. Like, they're not messing around anymore, and it's just really cool. And honestly, some of them, while like, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised by any of their forms, the ones that we didn't know, but they're also very cool looking, so it's like kind of just I'm awestruck to some degree. So the first form that we see is Sasaki, and honestly, I've saw multiple people theorizing and talking about this over the last few weeks of like, he is like the armor core of the Tobi Roppo. He's like the basically the shield of them. So there was a lot of theories and ideas floating around, and one of them was what it actually is, which is a Triceratops. And honestly, he looks badass. He looks so cool. He's got his hat on still, and he's one of those Triceratopses with like the horns coming out of the rim, and it's so cool. And honestly, I can definitely see him running the Battle Frankie, whatever the robot is, right through and like just missing Frankie within. And honestly, I would not be surprised if he just has to scrap the Shogun and just like fight him hand to hand without it. Not only that, but I just want to keep talking about this. I've mentioned it on Twitter multiple times, and many other people. This is not an original idea, but like, if Sasaki doesn't end up being related, either the like son or otherwise, to Kokoro, to Granny Kokoro, all the way back from Water 7, I'm going to be so disappointed. If Oda does nothing with that, I'm going to be so disappointed, because she mentioned all the way back then that she had a son. I want to say she said that he was a pirate. And then we have Sasaki, who has the same hair color. He's a fish man. And like, now he's fighting Frankie. You've got to say that there is so much connecting the two. And honestly, it would make this battle way more personal for Frankie if he has to fight Granny Kokoro, like basically his like pseudo mother. Like, Kokoro was more or less his like grandmother mother figure. So like, it's clear that this is like something that Oda's setting up. But if he does nothing with it, I'm going to be very disappointed. The next reveal we get is Black Maria. And honestly, this is another one that's been theorized to death. Something that people have always been thinking about is like all of these ancient zone types that are under the Tobi Roppo mantle. they all seem to be dinosaurs in some way. So you have Drake as an Allosaurus, you have Page One as a Spinosaurus, you have now Sasaki as a Triceratops. So I think a lot of people either thought that like I think people were teetering on the idea that they all had to be dinosaurs specifically, rather than just being like, oh, ancient animals in general. This kind of breaks it. Actually, two of them break that little cycle entirely. But Black Maria is a giant spider, and it's weird because she looks like she may be in her hybrid form because her upper body is entirely normal, but then her lower body is. This is where it's weird. So her lower body has like a face and like teeth and like a tongue and eyes even. So like at first I thought maybe it was like I thought maybe she was like I don't even know like a gifter or something like that. It's so weird that her spider half has a mouth and a face rather than it just being like, oh, she's got like a lower body of a spider. Granted, we don't see her whole body at this point, but it's so weird that it has a face. I don't like it, and apparently it is an ancient spider. I'm not even gonna remotely try to. Okay, let's see. It's the Rosamigel Gravogelli. Oh my god. Okay, that's the best you're gonna get out of me. But it's my god, she is massive, and I want to say maybe she got bigger. I'm not sure honestly, but it's just so weird. I don't like. I guess it's the kind of thing where it's like maybe Oda knew that people have like arachnophobia, so like he had to make it as goofy looking as possible. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know. But she's chasing after Sanji, who kind of got away. He at least broke free from like the immediate clutches. He's still tied up. But I kept waiting, honestly. I wonder who's going to save him, because there's no way he's going to fight any of these women. It doesn't matter what they look like or what kind of powers they have. He's not gonna fight these women. So I wonder what exactly is gonna happen here. I don't know who, like, if Spider. What would you do? Is there a person who has the the toilet paper fruit where they could just come and squish her? Not that I would want that to happen to Black Maria, but I'm interested to see where his fight goes specifically, because he always has to swap enemies whenever he comes into contact with a woman. So I'm interested to see who actually fights her. The last brand new reveal that we see is Who's Who, and he is a giant saber-toothed tiger. He's got the cat fruit ancient type model saber-toothed tiger, and I'm not surprised. I'm more interested in who he actually is than his saber-tooth abilities, because honestly, like, back when we were all thinking about like, oh, maybe the Tobi Roppo are all dinosaurs and whatnot, his whole crew was cat themed. So I think a lot of people were thinking that maybe he would be Saber-Tooth Tiger because that's an ancient cat or something along those lines. But this is not terribly surprising. I'm way more interested to find out who he is, because him and Jinbei have an interesting little conversation. Apparently they've met at least once before, back when Jinbei was a warlord of the sea, and Jinbei says, well, maybe if I saw your face, I could tell you who you are. Now, I'm not saying that he's an old character that we've met before, but maybe he's a character that has some kind of not historical, but like some kind of significance, regarding the overarching story. Maybe it's somebody that was on Whitebeard's crew, or I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin with him, because he doesn't really look in his normal form. He doesn't really look like anybody particular. At least I don't think so. But I'm interested to see where that storyline goes. It looks like Jinbei's going to fight Who's Who, which I'm not against. I think that's a really cool fight. I think I'm interested to see what Who's Who's abilities are, because most of the zones are just like they're giant animals. That's literally what they are. They're animals. They get a boost in like their general stats, like their physical stats, but it's not like they can shoot laser beams or control elements or anything. So I'm interested to see what the shark versus the cat is. Oh, and honestly, that's a good. I just got it. It's a cat versus a fish. Oda, you madman. The final Tobi Roppo reveal that we get, which isn't really a reveal because we already seen page 1 in his full transformation. But we haven't really seen Ulti, I don't think. But she is fully transformed now, and honestly, I'm a little disappointed. She kind of looks like a horse, but like a derpy horse. Honestly, she kind of reminds me of Majesty or Debbie from SpongeBob, because she's got this weird bulbous face, and Oda didn't take her mask off. It just grew with her. So I don't know how I feel about it, especially when like I feel like it would make more sense for her not to have too much of a snout. Granted, I don't know what. I think it's the Pachycephalosaurus or something like that. What is it called? Pachycephalosaurus. I think I said that right. Not and didn't butcher that whatsoever. But I'm a little disappointed with it. Not that I have too many high hopes for Ulti, but it's a little derpy looking, especially compared to all the others where it's just like even Black Maria, where it's like half woman, half spider. That's creepy. The spider part is creepy on its own, so that kind of brings her back up. But I don't know. It's not my favorite out of them, anyways. Now, while all of them are either fighting or hunting for somebody to fight, we cut back finally to Momonosuke and Yamato, and they're having a little conversation, and Yamato's trying to hide Momonosuke. And where he hides him is I get the feeling it's like a kind of more of a storage area, but it's with a giant statue of a dragon. So we're already heading into this thing right now, like expecting that Kaido might be a natural born dragon, making Yamato a natural born dragon, or at least half dragon. But based on so we're heading towards chapter 1000. Now, I'm not expecting us to get into a flashback before then, or maybe on. I don't. Something big is going to happen on chapter 1000, and I don't know if it would happen in a flashback or whether it would happen in like current time. But I get the feeling that Oda's setting us up for a mini flashback, maybe. Maybe the next chapter is a flashback, and then we jump back for chapter 1000 just to see what's going on in the current timeline. But Yamato is about to basically talk about Ace and him coming to Wano and to fight Kaido. His goal coming to Wano was to kill Kaido, which clearly didn't happen. He never mentions it. It's not, at least I don't think he mentions it. But it never really comes up in any significant fashion throughout the series. At least I don't. Maybe he had a run-in with Kaido's crew or something like that. I don't remember, honestly. Again, I don't have that much of a still trap for this kind of stuff. There's so much information. But Yamato is basically explaining to Momo, this statue of a dragon used to be out front by the entrance, and then somebody came and burned it down as they were probably looking to fight Kaido, and that was Ace. So I'm really excited to see more Ace. Every time we saw Ace prior to his death, it was in a supportive role, and it was either him defending Luffy or trying to run away from the world government with Luffy, or I guess technically his fight against Blackbeard was more of a upfront kind of fight. But it's always in short bursts that we see him. So I'm really interested to see way more of him, especially just him on his own, rather than him being in the context of, oh, he's with Luffy, or he's hunting down Luffy, or he's with other people. So I'm interested to see what he can do on his own. I want to see him meeting Tama. I'm so excited to see that, honestly. Tama's great. I love her, and I'm interested to see her and Ace's relationship. Maybe Tama knows Yamato. Maybe they were all together at one point and they know each other. Either way, this chapter was a lot of exciting things. We got a ton of reveals. It was very fast paced. There was some good text going on. Like, a lot of people were talking, but like it wasn't like walls of text and like exposition. It was just like, yo, this is this person. This is this person's power. We're moving on, and it was very fast paced. And honestly, I mean, not to say that I wasn't expecting it, because at some point I think everybody's cards need to be out on the table before chapter 1000, so that when something happens, because everybody's expecting maybe it already happened, but like everybody's expecting something bad to be revealed, whether we know it's coming or not. So I think everybody's cards need to be out on the table. But I like this chapter. I like this chapter a lot. I'm really down with Who's Who and even Black Maria's. But I'm especially down with Sasaki's Zoan ability, Triceratops. He looks really cool. I think it fits it perfectly. He honestly, I'm looking at him right now, and I think he looks like perfect as a Triceratops. And I think him being a Triceratops and being like the armor core part of the Tobi Roppo and the Beast Pirates makes perfect sense for him to fight Frankie all alone, on top of him potentially being Granny Kokoro's son. So I'm really, really excited. I think Oda's got some really cool battles waiting. Marco's gonna fly Zoro up to the roof at some point. Luffy is still running towards the roof. Jinbei is gonna hold back Who's Who. I think there's a lot of really cool fights going on, and I'm super excited. But that'll do it for me. Let me know what you guys thought about the chapter down below in the comment section, and remember to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed recording it. It's good to be back, and I remember to subscribe too if you haven't already, because that way you'll see more of this and more of Pokemon stuff and other anime stuff. Either way, I will see you guys in another video. So long.